I just got done listening to the mother of the slain 9-year-old girl. And I'm not going to hold my tongue on this issue any longer. Sarah Palin is, in my opinion, an irresponsible and dangerous person. Her rhetoric is radioactive and harmful to America. Ms. Palin, you are inspiring people to mistrust, fear, and hate the President of the United States. Your rhetoric is inspiring people to target Democrats in much the same way you and your husband Todd would target a caribou in the Alaskan wilderness. In the wake of yesterday's tragedy in Arizona, I was initially disturbed by the number of people who identified themselves as being on the left, left-wing bloggers and so forth. How many of them rushed forward to suggest that Sarah Palin was somehow responsible for the shooting of Congresswoman Giffords. There is, in fact, no overt connection between the alleged shooter and Palin. I don't think this young man can be correctly pigeonholed as a right-wing nut job. But I do think there's no doubt he was deranged and susceptible to inflammatory rhetoric, and I likewise think there's no doubt that Sarah Palin has become the queen of inflammatory political rhetoric in the United States. I remember at a speech at a Tea Party gathering, Sarah Palin said, "President Obama, how's that hokey-changey stuff working out for you?" Well, considering the fact that in the months following that speech, the president was able to get historic health care reform passed through both houses of Congress and signed into law. He was able to do away with Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He extended tax cuts to every single American and unemployment benefits for Americans who are out of work, benefits that Republicans like Ms. Palin wanted to cut off. And combat operations in Iraq ended under President Obama's watch. All of this in just 2 years. And it's all the more impressive when you consider the fact that America is buckling financially thanks entirely to the policies of the previous president. I think the question you should be asking yourself is, how's that drill baby drill stuff working out for you? How's that don't retreat, reload stuff working out for you? Because it seems to me that whenever reality turns up the heat on your deranged world view, you are the first to retreat from the disastrous real-world consequences of your toxic radioactive rhetoric. Drill, baby, drill, you say. Sounds good. Put it on a bumper sticker. Until, of course, the unthinkable happens and an oil well explodes underwater, releasing millions of gallons of crude into the Gulf of Mexico. Pure crude as thick as chocolate mousse washing up on the sugar-white beaches of the Florida Panhandle, poisoning the fragile wetlands and marshes and oyster beds of Louisiana. This is the result of you saying, drill, baby, drill. This is how rhetoric works, Ms. Palin. You own what you say or get owned by what you say. And I thought it was interesting how after you quietly backed away from drill, baby, drill, your catchphrase became don't retreat, reload. And you could apply this far more general catchphrase to any number of situations, such as advising a racist radio talk show host not to apologize for her repeated use of the N-word on the air. In other words, keep using the N-word, Dr. Laura. You've got my support, and I speak for all Americans who think we should be able to use the N-word whenever and however we want to. And any good catchphrase needs a good logo. And what will work better as a logo for Don't Retreat, Reload than the symbol of a crosshair? That thing you see in the center of a telescopic gun sight. After all, it worked pretty well for the Zodiac Killer. Unfortunately, they never caught him, but we have caught you, Sarah Palin, and you know you're caught. And now you're doing what you typically do. You are retreating from responsibility. Just as you retreated from the responsibility of your job in Alaska. Just as you retreated from drill, baby, drill. People like you go through life retreating from reality and turning away from the unpleasant consequences of your irresponsible words and actions. In March, Sarah Palin posted that infamous picture on her Facebook page, the one that showed crosshairs over the districts of Democrats who dared to vote for health care reforms in areas that were highly conservative. The woman who spoke out against imaginary death panels had effectively given her supporters a hit list. One of the members of Congress that spoke out very forcefully against this unbelievably reckless act was Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. Her district was one of the ones in the crosshairs. The gun site. Gabrielle Giffords was on Sarah Palin's hit list. This morning, Gabrielle Giffords continues to fight for her life. A reporter asked her dad, "Does your daughter have any enemies?" Her dad replied, "The whole Tea Party were her enemies." Palin posted a perfunctory note of condolences to the Gifford family and removed, finally, the picture of the crosshairs, an empty, too little, too late gesture. It's time for Americans to wake up, smell the coffee, and pour out the toxic tea. 6 people are dead so far, including that little girl. Enough is enough. Let's never forget what happened on January 8th, and let's never let it happen again. Please mirror this video before it is removed by Republicans.